Happy Seems like my channel is still banned from celebrating any day of the week. I thought we got this fixed past Christmas. But that's okay, guys. Today is all business anyways because we have the case of the rulings. Hey guys, this is Tom Box. Welcome to MST.TV, and today we're going to be covering meta-level misplays to catch at, well, the upcoming events. Especially with the weekend, we have the Remote Duel Invitational Qualifier, and the weekend after that, we have the Remote Duel Extravaganza, which I hope to be judging in. I think I am. I'm not going to be playing 100%. Probably going to be judging. And first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Duels Academy, the stream, Ryan, Asala. You guys know I lurk on your stream. You guys already know it for a fact because you've seen me there a couple times already. But yeah, you guys, when you're, I guess when you're doing your little bets on red or blue, that was great. But we get to catch a couple of rulings there. And yes, I am going to include the ruling that was requested about a week ago in this video. And DB Grinder, I guess you didn't expect this shout out, but you have a ton of game archived on DB, which is actually great because you include the illegal plays, and that is very much realistic. If you want a realistic experience about what's going on in Yu-Gi-Oh, then DB Grinder has you covered. He's a really good analyst as well, so links are in the description. Go check him out. Seriously, it's really, really good. I mean, if you're trying to get better at the game, these are two of the biggest resources, I would say, right now. So anyways, around this time, all these rulings, they are some of the most frequently asked questions that have come up, whether it be in a judge call, a ruling call, whatever. If you guys want to stay up to date with MST.TV, hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding the notification bell, and let's get to it. Number one, this is more of a PSA more than a ruling answer for you guys because I cannot give you a definite answer, but DD Crow versus Benton. If DD Crow is activated, chained onto a Benton that was tributed for cost, does the Benton activate in the new chain? So in other words, does it search? And the answer to that is, well, it really depends. So ask the head judge, but here's the answer you might be looking for. If you're looking for a precedent ruling, the last Remote Duel Extravaganza at least in our event in North America, was that it does not get to search. That was in the pin post, but that was ruled for that event. You'll have to ask again in the upcoming event to get a confirmation. It's likely going to be a pin post anyway, but just ask the head judge and you'll have your answer. But the reasoning for why it does or does not, it's because in North America, we kind of take this for granted already because we already have been playing under the rule where if a card that is triggered is no longer in its triggered location, it will not activate. That's just something that's common to us. It was known as the MST versus Call of the Haunted. You activate an MST, they use Call of the Haunted on, say, a Stratos, which has a summon trigger. The Stratos gets summoned and destroyed, but then the Stratos will no longer be able to activate due to what we've been playing with so far. And this is kind of like a similar case because it's not in the correct position anymore. We get that Benton doesn't exactly care about the location of where it's supposed to go, sure, but where it met the trigger was still the position of where it was in the graveyard. So technically, is it still that same copy is usually the argument that kind of comes around. But for now, yeah, just go with no, it doesn't until told otherwise. So yeah, that's the easy PSA. Ask the head judge. Number two, can Cyframe Gamma be activated in response to an Ash Blossom Joy Spring responding to a Drytron Nova? So Drytron Nova, or I guess even Drytron Monsters. And the answer to that is a classic case of the RTFC. No, you cannot. Did you read the card, sir? It's quite simple. Just put 2 and 2 together. So you cannot special summon monsters except monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set the turn you activate this card. And simply because it's the turn you activate this card, it means the entire turn, no matter which point of the whole thing, and it's not for the rest of the turn. So that clarity is done there. The second thing is, well, Cyframe Gamma cannot be normal summoned or set, so it doesn't wreck the condition. Well, sure, this Cyframe Gamma doesn't wreck the condition, but Cyframe Driver does, and you have to special summon out Cyframe Driver to use Cyframe Gamma. And because of that, you cannot use it. In other words, if you use Drytron Nova and you've activated the card, so it's on the field, and they use Ash, you cannot use Gamma. Why are you trying to use Gamma anyway? You should be using Herald of the Orange Light or Herald of the Purple Light or whatever Herald you have, because that one doesn't actually summon itself out and it's part of your own deck synergy. So don't use Gamma. If you're using Gamma, are you still playing to summon out Christian Helki 5 racks? It's crazy. And just as a little added bonus to this, just remember, if you do use, say, Gamma to protect your search for like, I don't know, prep rights or something, you have summoned out your Cyframe driver. In other words, your Novas and all your Drytron monsters cannot be activated for the entire turn. So these are some things that have been seen at the high level, which is crazy. Ruling number 3. This is something you have to catch rather than imposing as a question. Ice Dragon's Prison needs to be activated before any Elixir card. Oh my god, this one is just kind of blows my mind that it still happens, but you know, maintaining game state is very hard for us special people. And I would say, remember, Elixir cards put you under the restrictions of zombies. I know within your own turn you can play around that restriction a lot because you don't really activate Elixir cards until the end, but remember that if you're using the chain where you have 3 cards set and you don't have an Eldritch monster, just keep in mind that you need to, well, use the Ice Dragon's Prison first, even if it means that you can't use your Conquistador to pop. Or you can give up the Ice Dragon's Prison, that's fine too. Or you can use Ice Dragon's Prison strictly for a zombie monster, that's okay too. And that's really all I can say, because Ice Dragon's Prison may or may not be summoning out a monster that is, well, basically the correct typing under the summoning lock that you put yourself on through the Elixir cards. Simple as that. And it does happen quite frequently, so just be careful. Okay, number 4, what is the illegal Eva play? Okay, so this one I've seen maybe twice so far within DB when I'm spectating, is that I've seen people activate Artifact Lancia. They have Lancia in the deck because it's really good against like stopping people from, you know, setting up their extravagances, stopping dinos, stopping virtual world, stuff like that, just stopping people from going off. And it's a typical search end product. When you build your whole board as Drytrons, you get your, you know, your hand traps into your hand, and you add the last hand trap, maybe it's an Artifact Lancia, just so you can shut people down. But you've also added the Eva and the Herald of the Orange Light, and this is where the problem kicks in. Eva requires you to banish a card, and here's the stupid part that you should be catching, because it's super obvious, is that they shotgun out the Lancia when it's safe, alright? So the Lancia successfully resolves. And then when they activate a monster effect that seems to be very threatening, you activate your Herald of the Orange Light, throwing away the Eva. And Eva hit the graveyard, so you trigger the Eva and you banish the Lancia of all cards, the thing that you basically lock yourself out from being able to banish, and you banish the Herald of the Orange Light, adding an orange and a purple. I was like, what? Okay, just catch that, guys. It might be like a split second thing that you don't think about, and that split second is an equivalent of giving your opponent an additional 2 negates for you to play through. Just remember that is a bit of a contradictory play within the deck itself. Like, you gotta have to make the choice here. Do you want to go with the, you know, the negation? I think you can actually do both, in my opinion. You could probably just do the negation first, banish with the Eva, and then throw the Lancia out too. Then you can use both. But I've seen the, you know, the incorrect steps taken, and they kind of just, I guess, reworded it around, and it just became awful. So yeah, just that's something that you have to catch, and it's one of those split-second decisions that you could forget just in that moment, and you gave yourself, well, basically a big L. It's not fun. And ruling number 5, we're gonna go into the Dragoon territory. If Verte Anaconda gets negated, am I allowed to special summon? We'll just read the card text of Verte Anaconda. It says right here, you can pay 2,000 life points and send 1 fusion or polymerization normal or quick play spell from your deck to the graveyard, semicolon. That's part of the activation. So in other words, sending is a cost. This effect becomes that spell's effect when that card is activated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn. This is a classic case of the conjunction. I repeated the also because it is using the also conjunction, which means you do whatever effect that allows you to do. If you can do A, you do A. If you can do B, you can do B. If you can do both, you do both. And if you can't do A, you still do B. So that's kind of how that one works. And considering that it's using the also conjunction, that is all part of one effect. And it's not, I guess it's an effect-based restriction that lingers. So if the card activation gets negated, then sure, you'll be able to special summon. If the card effect gets negated, then yes, you still get to special summon because the also connecting the other part of the effect also got negated. So therefore, you're not under any sort of special summon restriction. And, you know, a little quick bonus round. Fun fact. The Verte Anaconda cannot get hit by an Ash Blossom Joy of Spring. I've seen it happen for some reason. I guess some people kind of forgot, but yeah, you can't hit this card with Ash Blossom because the sending to the graveyard effect is not an effect, it's a cost. Now, not to be mixed up with Red Eyes Fusion, because sometimes I've seen the argument in the text chat where someone uses the Verte Anaconda argument on the Red Eyes Fusion, and that does not apply to this case. So let me read Red Eyes Fusion for you guys. Now, Fusion summon one fusion monster that lists a Red Eyes monster as material from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, deck, or field as fusion material. And if you do, the name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon. Okay, that's cool. And you cannot normal or special summon monsters the turn you activated this card. Activating this card is this action. Right, you play it from your hand. And yeah, you can only activate one Red Eyes Fusion per turn. Okay, that's cool. So what happens when the activation of this gets negated? Well, if the activation of this card gets negated, then yes, you can still special summon because you never activated this card. However, if the effect of this card gets negated, because this card, yes, fun fact, it can get hit by Ash because you are sending materials from the main deck into the graveyard, yes, you can get hit by an Ash Blossom, and therefore this card's effect was successfully activated, although the effect was negated. In that particular case, then you cannot special or normal summon monster for the rest of the turn. So yeah, hitting this card with an Ash Blossom hurts a lot. It's more or less like a monsterless turn skip. They can still set a monster, but that's really about it. So yeah, you can't use the Verte Anaconda argument on this because you cannot normal or special summon other monsters the turn you activate this card. That's in a completely separate sentence as a part of a summoning restriction set on this card. Activation. There. Long story short, or long story long, whatever the case may be. And we have that virtual world ruling. This is the one that Disencode and I already talked about. I know it's coming up again because it seems like people are using whichever ruling online that would actually, I guess support their argument and make them have the better advantage. Okay, whatever it is, here's the question here. If my virtual world monster Lulu targets a virtual world GG on the field and then my opponent chains a Book of Moon Flips to face down, will I be able to resolve my virtual world Lulu? And remember, virtual world Lulu, they need, like any other virtual world monster in hand that has the activated effect, they need to be able to send a card into the graveyard in order to special summon themselves. That's really key here. And the answer to that kind of comes in multiple parts. First part is ask your head judge. If it's not already pinned, then ask the head judge anyway, but likely it's going to be already pinned within the Discord in the remote duel extravaganza one. The other thing to note is that if you're looking for a precedent-based answer, then what I can say is this. For November's event, for those events, and for December's event, if both of those events has ruled it so that you cannot resolve the virtual world Lulu that was activated in hand because, well, they didn't really give a reason. They just says you cannot, and basically you're also locked under the you can only summon things that are level or rank 3 and above. And that was the restriction that was also set. So that being said, why, if you're looking for the logic of why, what I can try and say is the counter argument was that, mind control. If you target a monster that gets flipped face down, you still take it because it still knows that it's a monster. Cool. Now, if you're looking for the logic behind it, I can't really give you a definitive one because my answer here is 100% not official. So don't quote me on this, even though it's in a video. I would say that, okay, mind control, yeah, it can target a monster, and then even if it gets face down, you can still take it because mind control does not care about a monster being face up or face down. You can target any monster, and therefore if it's that same target anyway, you'll still take it. Cool. And based on that logic, when you're going from like activation of the targeting to the resolution of taking the monster. What about the virtual world stuff? Well, the virtual world stuff cares a lot more about the card typing because you're no longer just looking at a monster. You're looking at both spells and traps because depending on what you have targeted, it will affect the end result. And if something is private knowledge, that particular part is not exactly confirmable, especially for a spell and trap, because if you flip it face down, it can be either or a spell or a trap. But because maybe it has the inclusion of the monster, I feel like the spell and trap part is kind of overlapping into the monster in this particular case, just because you can target monster spells and traps. And if it's like a trap monster, what if it gets flipped face down? Is it now a trap or is it a monster? It just gets a little muddy, and I don't want to make it any more muddy, but this is me when I'm trying to break it down in terms of logic. If someone asked me to explain it, like at the end of the day, I'm just gonna be able to point him to like the head judge, and the head judge says this is how we're gonna run the event. There's less questioning, but I get that people do want to get the understanding behind it, and I'm sorry, I can't really provide you with an answer there. And the most requested ruling question of them all is Buster Dragon an actual destruction sword monster? This is a classic case of RTFC didn't work. Okay, this is that Duelist Academy stream that I kind of want to bring back. I know it's been a week, but it was so funny to the point that I almost made a video on the spot to answer this. But is the Buster Dragon able to get protected by the prologue in the graveyard? You know, prologue, you can banish it, and all your destruction sword cards they cannot be destroyed. Yeah, about that. If you just read the name of Buster Dragon and the card effect of Buster Dragon, it does not change its name related to the destruction sword. However, there are ways you can kind of circumvent this, and how you can do it is, first of all, if you're on DB, make sure that there are no judges online, and then you can proceed to use these other tactics, such as, oh, here we go. Tell them that you have a friend that plays this as a main deck, and that's how they do it. That's one way. And the second way is, I've got a judge friend. That's another classic one. And when they push to get that judge friend ruling, you can also say that that judge friend is no longer online. So this is what we're going to be working with here. And just hope for the best. And the only way this would work is as long as the other guy does not have patience or nerves of steel, you will be able to get that win simply by getting them to disconnect from this game. But honestly, Buster Dragon is not a destruction sword card, so prologue will not be able to protect it. Done. Mic drop. And that is all I got for this video, guys. You know, shout outs to the Patreons out there. Thank you for your support. You guys will be getting a new yugioh Omega skin courtesy of Tombox. I've been spending like lots of hours on yugioh Omega because, you know, I'm still a consultant on that project nonetheless. And I am working on a new skin for you guys, especially for you Patreon. It's going to be really awesome. I think I spent like at least 20 hours on it already. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for making it awesome. And of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys learned a thing or two or got a good review session or have other questions, leave it down in the comment section below. Smash that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding notification bell. Check out the links in the description for Duelist Academy, and shout outs to DB Grinder. Hopefully you see this message. I hope you see it. I don't know if you watch my videos or not, but until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you guys in the next one when I create my new stovetop.